Welcome, Tex. As I mentioned, I've been working on a program for the American Taekwondo Association. I call it ATA Strike Force Training System. And really, it's a guideline for any martial artist on any level. Some training tips. The focus is always on the fundamentals. So we're always coming back to that. Because no matter what level of any sport, you always notice that it is the basics and the fundamentals and executing them. But there's a lot of tips on training, and all of the methods are field tested. They don't come from me. They come from my gathering of all the people I've learned from over the years, and from my experience as well. Things that worked, things that didn't work. So, within my years of instructing, I've been teaching Taekwondo since 1980. What's that? 40 years. I mean, it's a long time. So I've picked up a few things that I think will be helpful to everybody. So I want to use you sort of as a guinea pig here to try some of these techniques out. Okay, so we're going to work on a jab. Before we do, I want to talk about punching, since all we're working on today is the jab. And I want to keep the video short, but I want to give you a lot of information and things that you can work on. Maybe you'll use an hour working on some of the things that I'm going to show you in a few short minutes. Okay, so you got to have a weapon. So when you're punching anything, you got to have a good fist. So the proper way to make a fist, in my mind, is you roll the fingers down, which might take a little bit of flexibility training and things like that. That's 1, 2. Notice no air in there. And then the thumb just comes in the front and covers. And by the way, you don't hold a fist like this. Your hands are loose. Loose, 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 loose. And on an impact, they naturally go into the striking mode. It's a weapon. And when you're loose and you have your fist tight, like I showed you, 1, 2, 3, and you relax your hand but keep your fist in there, as you can feel, it's like a rock on the end of the rope for all these strikes that you're going to do, okay? All right, so that in mind, let's get started. So the jab is one of my favorite punches because I really like the versatility of it, because it does so many things, all right? So the first thing I want to work on is the positioning and the end of it. So when you're striking and at the end, you've got your guard up, of course, and when you come out with your punch and you strike out, boom, positioning, I got my shoulder up, chin down, because that protects that. Because this is where we get knocked out. From here, around here is really where you get knocked. This way, this way, this way. The head moves and the brain stays still. That usually means lights out. So you got your fist in here. So it's going to come right up your shoulder. And when we strike out here, pow, I really want this wrist perfectly flat. Let me get this black background here. So this is going to and we're striking with the first 2 knuckles. So you point them. So if you look against my shorts here, the contrast, how the lead is the first 2 knuckles. Those are our striking tools, and the reason is it comes right down the center line, especially when you strike. That's your power. Striking out here is sort of this way, not good, but here is where all your power comes, right from your solar plexus, right down through those knuckles. Elbow actually is slightly bent, but that's pretty fine detail there. Let's build it from the base up, though. So as I step back here so you can see my feet, basic fighting stance is going to have both feet in a 45-degree direction. The toe, the front foot, is going to be lined up right with the heel. And then you're going to move out about 1.5 shoulder width. And it's a 50-50 stance, so I bounce. That way I check and make sure I got my weight evenly distributed. The reason 50-50, I can go forward or back. Now boxers, they'll take that back heel and just slightly pick it up to get so they can retreat quickly, I believe. Taekwondo, we want to kick with that front leg, so that's a little bit different. Which, by the way, I wanted to mention too, the jab, the thing I like about it is your second line of defense. And I say second because my first line of defense is my legs, because they're longer, they have stronger, a lot more reach there. So then I can step down now, so I go from the kicking range into the punching range, into the grappling range, okay? Back, okay? So those are our different ranges there. All right, so I want to talk real quick about the kinetic link. I love tennis, and I know you do too. We played in high school, had a good time. So they talk about the kinetic link in tennis. When I'm going to serve, I let the ball come up, and I get this nice relaxed motion coming through, and it comes from the ground up through my legs, my hips, my shoulder, my elbow, and my wrist, finally, okay? Wow. All right, so that's our tennis is like that too. So jab is the same way. So I take my body